Entry-level engineering job postings are down 28% since 2022. 54% of engineering leaders plan to hire fewer junior developers. This tier list ranks the skills disappearing first, and the ones that are structurally safe, so you can see where you stand. The rule that sets this entire ranking is simple. AI automates execution before it automates judgment. So the top of the stack is the work a coding assistant can't do because it doesn't hold the context. System design and eval judgment. System design is deciding how the pieces fit, where the data lives, what talks to what, where it breaks under load, which trade-off you're accepting and which you're refusing. A coding assistant will generate any single component you describe. It cannot tell you that your whole approach falls apart at the third concurrent user because it doesn't know your traffic, your budget, your team, or the 3 constraints you never wrote down. That judgment comes from holding the full problem in your head and choosing. The engineering leaders surveyed by lead dev said it straight. They're cutting junior hiring and they still can't find enough people who can do system design and incident response. The demand didn't shrink, it concentrated. The second S-tier skill is newer and most builders underrate it. Eval judgment. Knowing whether an AI system is actually working. Once your product has a model in the loop, is this output good, stops being obvious. You have to define what good means, build the tests that measure it, and read the results without fooling yourself. One analyst went through AI and ML job postings and found model evaluation outranked both MLOps and prompt engineering in demand. Nearly 95% of those companies treated eval as required or strongly preferred. That's the strongest market signal in this whole tier list. Here's why eval sits at the very top and not a notch down. In a real enterprise setup, an automated judge handles the full production volume. A model grades the model. But humans still hand-check a small sample of those outputs every month. That sample is the calibration layer, and it's non-negotiable, because if you never check the judge against human judgment, the judge drifts and you don't notice. That's judgment about judgment. It's the last thing on the list to automate because automating it requires the exact skill you'd be automating. So, fork it. If you're aiming at staff or architect, lean into system design. Own the failure modes, the trade-offs, the cross-team coordination. If you're moving toward AI and ML work, lean into eval. Learn to define metrics, build test suites, and calibrate a model judge. Both are S tier. Pick the one your career is already pointed at. One notch down, supervising the agents. Andrej Karpathy gave the shift a name when he retired vibe coding and replaced it with agentic engineering. His point is that the professional developer's job is now setting goals and specifying constraints, not authoring code line by line. He co-founded OpenAI and ran AI at Tesla, so when he says it, it carries weight. You hand an agent an objective, you bound it, you check its work, you step in when it goes sideways. Done well, this is real and hard. It means understanding multi-step failure modes, how an agent uses tools, how its memory is structured, and how to supervise something that can break in the middle of a 10-step chain in a way a single function never could. Karpathy built a toy app where a camera spots a FedEx truck and pings his phone, using the model as the logic instead of writing the logic. His framing is that apps are getting unbundled into agent behaviors. And this is the guy who co-founded OpenAI saying he's never felt more behind as a programmer. The top of the stack is being restructured too, not just the bottom. So why A and not S? Because the frame is contested and the criticism has teeth. Plenty of people are calling agentic engineering a rebrand of prompt engineering, and prompt engineering turned out to be far more accessible than its boosters promised and far less of a moat. If supervising an agent collapses into writing a good prompt, it's not durable. The counter-argument is that real agent supervision goes well past prompt crafting into architecture and failure analysis. I buy the counter-argument. But the jury's out, and that uncertainty is exactly what keeps it out of S tier. Learn it. Don't bet your whole identity on the buzzword. Middle of the pack. Debugging and reading code you didn't write. It used to be a senior reflex. Now it's the daily job, because the code in front of you came out of a machine, and you have to figure out if it's right. This skill is still genuinely valuable, and one number says why. Only about 30% of AI-suggested code gets accepted. A human governs the rest, rejecting, correcting, integrating. GitClear's 2025 research also found a sharp jump in duplicated code across AI-assisted repos, which is a polite way of saying the machines are quietly piling up technical debt that someone with judgment will eventually have to unwind. Reading bad code and knowing it's bad is a paid skill again. But here's the catch that keeps it in B. One 2025 analysis found something counterintuitive. Experienced developers using AI tools actually ran about 19% slower on complex tasks, even while they reported feeling faster. The likely reason is that they're spending their time reviewing and fixing AI output instead of writing what they already knew how to write. So this skill is leverage, not a moat. Each model generation produces cleaner output, the review burden shifts, and the thing you're good at gets a little smaller every release. It's a tax on AI's mistakes, and AI is slowly paying down its own tax. Keep the skill sharp. Don't expect it to anchor your career alone. Bottom tier, and this is where the layoffs are actually landing. Boilerplate, CRUD wiring, test scaffolding, line-by-line authorship of routine code. This is the work that's already absorbed. In one big developer survey, roughly a fifth of all merged code was machine-authored, and adoption was close to universal. Using an AI tool stopped being an edge. It's the floor. And you can see exactly which work got eaten and who benefits. Juniors post their biggest gains on repetitive tasks, which means the repetitive tasks are precisely what the tool now does for them. The career consequence is the broken on-ramp. The junior jobs that used to build senior engineers were made of this exact low-judgment work, and that work is no longer worth paying a person to do. Entry-level engineering postings are down 28% from pre-automation highs. Of 2025's layoffs, tens of thousands were pinned directly on AI. A developer writing for Stack Overflow described their generation as the first to graduate into a market where the entry-level ramp had already been absorbed. Look at Duolingo. After Copilot, pull request volume jumped 70%. Then the company cut its junior hiring plans anyway. The productivity landed at the senior level. None of it trickled down. I'll be straight about the noise, because the junior developer is dead headline oversells it. By one count, entry-level postings actually grew across a stretch of 2023 into 2024, so the data is messier than the doom. Part of this squeeze is cyclical, a hangover from pandemic overhiring, not pure AI displacement. Both forces are running at once, and they're hard to pull apart. But the direction holds. Routine authorship is the first thing automated. Every model generation, no exceptions. The premise was figuring out where you stand. Here it is. Stack your skills against the gradient and climb it. Time spent getting faster at C-tier authorship is time spent racing the tool that's beating you at it. Time spent on judgment, on system design, on eval, on knowing whether the thing works and what to do when it doesn't, compounds in the one direction AI keeps failing to follow. And there's a twist worth watching. The same gradient squeezing the bottom is pushing people out before they even start. Forrester projects computer science enrollments dropping around 20% as students read the bad entry-level signal. Fewer juniors today means fewer seniors in 5 to 10 years. The same automation squeezing the bottom could create a scarcity at the top. Climb the gradient now, while everyone else reads the headline and walks away, and you arrive at that shortage early. The one number to keep is this. In LinkedIn's hiring data, AI-related postings have more than tripled while traditional software roles slid. The market isn't shrinking, it's splitting, between people who execute and people who judge. That drop in entry-level postings isn't the end of the story, it's just where the floor dropped out. The gradient still goes up. Go up it.